Hello, YouTubers and all those who happen to watch. This is a video of sorts discussing this Twitter little chain thing here that's going on. I'm sure it's still going slightly, or it's dead. I don't know. Kotaku put out this article, which I actually thought was quite interesting. It was, even though it was just really a copy and paste cheap view tactic by them, it was effective because I ended up clicking on it. And generally what it was this chick named Katie Gorick, which is this woman who does stuff on ABC. She does this little talk show just doing really relevant or irrelevant topics, primarily focusing on family as well as, you know, personality disorders or some shit like that. I don't pay attention to the show that much. I just walk by and I see it on. My mom watches it generally. To me, it's a dry-ass show. I mean, this woman was a correspondent for Dateline and all that, too, so again, she has some sort of credibility with her belt for experience in the thing, even though, quite frankly, not that credible to me, because I don't give two shits about her. So, as I say as I'm reading one of her goddamn tweets. So, alright. Passionate gamers upset with conversation, which is convo, she put it for short, because the Twitter restricts everything and makes it small. Whether video games, or violent video games in this case, can contribute with V behavior, which is violent behavior. Of course, she was doing some shortcuts there again. Tweet the positive side of violent video games. Thanks! Katie Gorick. So, at first, you got this initial, very dry, angry, emotional thinker responses on Twitter. Well, I don't want to play the game. Hold on, I'll scroll down to a couple here. Because I have to keep these on hand. So the first thing is from a guy named William Toner, which is Pitchy Ibrain or something like that. Can't really. Oprin. At Katie Gorick, it keeps millions of morons out of contact with general public for hours at a time. Well, it's somewhat true because there's a lot of idiots too, but you know they're not doing anything that's idiotic. Just the person generally could be idiotic. Who knows? I could be idiotic. You could be idiotic. Everybody could be idiotic. We all cannot be idiotic. It can just correlate like that. I don't want to correct the guy too much. He's trying his best he can. So the next one, of course, is... I'm not going to read every single goddamn one of these, but I'll leave a link down below if you're really curious. Another one is here from Dana Aylesworth. Movies aren't the same. Nobody spends 6 hours a day at a movie like people immerse themselves in games. Huh? What the fuck does it do with the price of Colombian coffee? Colombian? So, okay, so we scroll through these, and there's a couple double pastes here, such as Michelle. Positive side, sorry. Can't include positive and violent in the same sentence. The question, none cannot wait to read answers. So generally she's just looking at the element violent. Now, while it's understandable some people are pacifists, which is nothing wrong with that at all, which I could see that positive. If someone looks at a violent video game, doesn't feel interested in it because of the violence in it, I got no single shred of fucking... You know, I'm not concerned, nor do I disrespect the fact that they don't like that. Which is fine. You know, people play puzzle games, play casual games, play games with nothing to do with guns involved at all, like Mario, or even though if you watch some of the Flash games on the internet, there's plenty of Mario games with guns in there. So if you didn't, anyway. So again, I can understand that quite well. Nothing wrong with that. Sorry, there is none. Violence never any type is any good. Same kind of answer. Alright, so this is pretty much where some of the community from Kotaku, which is some pretty positive as well, some educated as well, some pretty funny ones there, started chiming in, which I'm going to read like two from the positives and all that stuff, then I'm just going to really break into my opinion. And so, I'm a 40-year-old college professor and dad. I play all games for mental stimulation and good stories. Violence is a part of our world, which is true. Again, anyone will easily tell you that video games are a reflection off of real life, or some of the games that are portrayed are this of real life. Anyone who tries to explain this as real life to you, saying, oh yes, World of Warcraft is my life, it's a simulated world that you play in and log in. You probably are on the server Moonguard, and, you know, everyone who knows World of Warcraft knows what Moonguard's about. I will not go into any more detail because that place is terrifying. It's a place in anyone's life. If you go there once, you will never be the same again. You'll be scraping toilets for the rest of your life and feeling bad about yourself. Anyway, back on track. See, I'm trying to be funny and it's not working very well. So, alright, we scroll down, another one from Jennifer whatever. She has, I don't know what the hell that is, on her picture. I was trying to identify, I couldn't relate. Games, violent or not, are something my son and can share. We just have just as much fun with Gears of War as we do with Wii Sports. So generally they're talking about the social interactions, which I'm not going to read any more of those, quite frankly, because they're just going to be the same thing going down the list here. So, alright. Let's go into the math here. This is pretty much a dry subject by now. A lot of the media likes to brush it up because it's something that a lot of folks who are ignorant to video games can easily cling on to and go, yeah, that's the problem right there. Okay, now what happens when they take out these violent video games out of the world? What's going to happen? Something new or something that is nothing to do with video games is still going to be out there, and they're going to be blaming that next. Pretty soon, violent lyrics and music's going to be blamed again. Violent movies are soon going to be blamed. Somewhat again. So you're going to have excuses getting spewed out like a rancid diarrhea percolating out of a hippo's butthole. So you're going to sit here and make up excuses and make simple solutions for your viewers or your subscribers or your readers or your listeners prior to thinking about it logically and thinking of the right thing here. While yes, imagery of any sort which is considered violent can trigger something in somebody. I'm not saying it can't. There's a slight, tiny element of a moron out there. And yes, you would be a moron if you committed acts of violence on somebody because of a freaking video game. So, you put these elements into play here, and now that small, tiny fraction, while the plausible sense would be, yes, it can, 1 out of 1,000,000 people can do this, it's something that I cannot say is the underline of the main reason why people do this shit, though. I mean, every single day you have bombing going in different countries, and these people don't even have electronics. You know, how are these people living in huts going to be exposed to video games? They're going to start bombing each other because, well, they heard on the news about the new GTA 5. Like, oh, new GTA 5's coming out. Let's celebrate. Let's get some bombs, you know, so they go and blow each other up. No, that is not, wow. That is not how electronic gaming works. I mean, this is not how the human mind works at all. I mean, if these people paid attention to the margin line, it has nothing to do with influence. It's something to do with motivation. The person who picks up the gun has to be motivated or tells themselves through some sort of crazy way that this is the right thing to do, so they do it. Now, at the end of the day, can we say most of the school shootings because of video games? No. It was because some troubled teen. It was because the other margin line that most obvious people, because most of the people who watch these shows are mothers and fathers / parents. They won't blame the parents. They'll just blame a third source to relieve the stress and the mental capacity out of those parents' minds because their innocent infants or their children got murdered because of some sociopath or some psycho who had a gun at school. And this is the easy release in their attention, their mind, that comfort. It's sort of like eating a bear claw. It's something that makes them feel so good to know there's something easily to blame. But at the end of the day, they can't sit down and fucking blame bad parenting for once, which is part of the one element. The other part could just be the kid was just fucking warped. They could have excellent parents. You know, that's, again, there's another factor. They could have had excellent parents who did pay attention to them, but the kid didn't want to open up. So there's, again, that element of surprise, which I'm going to call it element of surprise because no one that I know would disagree with this, that it's all in the head. It's what the person thinks and portrays. It's nothing to do with violence, imagery. Because that's the case, then there'd be a lot of Americans going on a killing spree because they watch the news every day, because the news portrays this stuff every single day or every single other day, highlighting this stuff on CNN, all this other news networks. Now, again, I have nothing totally against news networks because I generally don't watch them enough to care. So when I do happen to watch these news articles or to watch these shows or whatever else on CNN because I just effing bored, I watch it. There's a violent act on TV. It's like, are you kidding me? But yet these same journalists blame video games for the same type of elements that they're portraying on a fucking broadcast. Where's the brilliance in that? You know, you have these journalists from ABC. I mean, I understand it's easy views and ratings just to portray this so that way you become the hero for the death toll. It makes you look so good to show something easy to point out and give the answer to, because that's why people read the Bible. They want answers to their lives. They want meanings to their lives. Even though I don't believe in the Bible, I got nothing against Bibles. People read it for guidance. Fine. You know, some people watch the news because they want to know what's going on in the world. Fine. So, you're going to blame another source of relievement because of an action of somebody in real life. You're going to blame a video game. A video game which was initially invented for entertainment purposes only, not for an educational tool to pull out extreme amounts of violence on human beings. This is, of course, when these developers make these games, they use it to have a sense of tension. They use the violence as a sense of a storyline at some aspects. And they use it for a fantasy realm of some sort. So, therefore, you feel immersed. Some people like it, so they don't have to worry about committing these acts in real life and getting in trouble. I mean, yes, well, that sounds kind of cryptic and scary. Think of it like this. You could do things in video games you can't do in real life, and it'll never hurt anybody. Would you rather those people do that if they do have that small fraction of insanity in their mind? Sure. And at the same time, nothing wrong with a video game. I think that Pac-Man could induce drug addiction, but who cares, right? I'm kidding, by the way. So, I don't really see the point and concept of this article that she put up. Again, I understand it's because of the recent Boston incident that happened in Cape Cod and Boston City. So, again, I digress. It's the fact that I find more humor out of the news blaming another source of entertainment or information that makes me chuckle my ass off. Now, while this is easily and has to be by far one of the most dry subjects any news outlet can drag out just to find some sort of source, to find the answers, I quite frankly cannot give two shreds of fuck towards this said answer. Now, this answer is not the logical answer. While it can be plausible to say it can trigger something in the mind, it's not enough to back up the final answer. It's not something that can conclude that fragment. Can't. So, back to the chalkboard, back to the dressing room, back to the makeup room, back to touching your nipples, and back to the catering. Because apparently you have not found the right answer or want to admit the right answer to world's problems when it comes to violence. It's triggered because of influence around them and environment in real life. It triggers to them to bad parenting. It triggers to them towards mental deficiencies. It triggers to them bad judgment calls. So those folks who kill innocent children, who kill people in general, those are the people to blame, not the video game. You're dragging out the simple solution right there. It was that person's fault. Well, we need to see why they did it. They won't admit it. Because they're guilty. It's just like a child when they steal a cookie. They don't want to say it even if you saw them take the cookie. It's just that same concept, that same principle. They're caught with their hands in the cookie jar. They're going to plead insanity and blame something else. It's just like a goddamn kid. You discipline the kid, right? While some people don't believe in killing on people, put them in jail somewhere. You know, put them in work, put them in something, do something positive for the community. Make them plant trees with a chain around their neck so they can't move around too much. That's humane! So them killing people was not humane. I didn't say that. Just putting a chain around somebody. How would you like us to put a chain around your neck? I would think that'd be really fucking kinky, ma'am. So, again, where is the science behind this fathom answer? I'm still trying to find it from you. So, again, I generally respect people's opinions when it comes to finding answers towards the world's problems, but sadly, this is something I think is just not addressed the right way. Using it as an easy imagery with shocking and sparking, images of portrayal of violence, making these games seem like they're more worse than they actually are, or making people believe they're a lot worse than they actually are, is to me a false judgment call. And as the Kotaku article pretty much said it, underlined pretty well, it's exposing scare tactics, as this Tina here pretty much posted as an article, which was actually a pretty decent article. I usually watch or read through Kotaku on occasion, and when stuff like this pops up, I think it's kind of interesting because the whole balance and portrayal of, just seeing how these folks talk about this stuff. So anyway, I hope I wasn't too harsh for anyone out there on YouTube. I'm honestly just speaking my mind, and if you disagree with me, that's fine. I'm not going to hate you for it at all. If you think violence is the wrong way to go in life, I can agree with you to a right point. That's why it's inside of a video game sometimes, because, let's put it this way, would you want someone to run around with a car like that, like in GTA in real life? No, they're doing it in the video game. That's another positive to it. How about the other positive video gaming? Oh, it's not real. It's entertainment. Some folks enjoy this sense of violence. It's just like violent movies. So, again, I digress. Take it easy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and take care. And please, post down below your comments or video responses to what you think of this topic. Because, again, while yes, it is a very, very, very dry, stale style topic, it's something I want to bring up because of the specific article I read. So, again, this neckbeard sliding off. And touch my nipples. Ooh.